Chapter 6, 9th of January, 357 days to go. Memorial Park, Venetian Way, Richmond, 8:36 p.m. Everything was telling me this wasn't a good idea. I'd convinced Mum that I was going to see a late movie with Boggers, if only he wasn't working tonight. I wish you'd stay home and have an early night, Mum had said, but I guess it's school holidays. You can sleep in tomorrow. I glanced at my watch. 9:10 p.m. She should be here, I thought. I didn't like the look of the dimly lit Memorial Park ahead of me. Being there seemed crazy. I was starting to feel edgy. A jet roared overhead and I concentrated hard on the dark mass of the cenotaph. I didn't hear the car behind me. I turned, but it was too late. 9:14 p.m. Hey, what's... My words were muffled by a hand over my mouth. Someone else tackled me down. I lashed out, kicking and cursing, but no sound could get past the vicious grip across my face. Two men hauled me up against the car. It looked like a dark blue Mercedes, and threw a heavy sack over my head. My arms were wrenched behind me and tied up tight. I was lifted off the ground and tossed like garbage into the boot. "Who are you? Where are you taking me?" I shouted, trying to tear my arms out of the rope. "Keep still, and you won't get hurt," one of them hissed at me. He pushed me down and then slammed the boot shut. 9:19 p.m. I tried working out where we were going and in what direction from all the bumps and the turns, but soon I was hopelessly disoriented. I was shaking. I should have listened to Boggers. He knew it was a set-up. I remembered seeing something on TV about a girl who was kidnapped and thrown into a boot. She somehow kicked the back lights out, squeezed her arm through and waved it about frantically, and eventually grabbed someone's attention. I tried desperately to do the same, but I could hardly move in there. I was squashed up against something else, something big and lying behind me. I couldn't kick my leg out far enough to even bump the lights. I thrashed about, frustrated, trying to free myself from the sack, when a loud thumping came from inside the car. "Keep still in there!" 10:02 p.m. It felt like we'd been driving around for ages, and when the car finally slowed and pulled up, I had no idea where we were. The sack slipped a little as I was dragged out of the car. "Come on, Buster," said the guy who'd thrown me in the boot, a huge barrel of a man with a bald head and an earring. I caught a glimpse of a sandstone curb, a large front gate, some tiled steps and some bushes and trees. But before I could note any more details, the guy pulled the sack back down and I was pushed up the steps ahead of him. Unknown location, 10:09 p.m. I stumbled into a room tangled up in the sack. All I could see was some red and black tiles and people's shoes. "What's going on?" I shouted, scrambling to my feet. "What do you want with me?" "What do we want with you?" said a woman's voice. I wasn't sure if it was the same voice I'd heard on the phone. It could have been. "Let's see," she said. "We want to know about the Ormond riddle." There it was again, those words I'd seen scribbled in Rafe's office. "We want to know everything," she said, "so you'd better start talking." "Answer me!" she screamed, kicking the back of my knees. My legs buckled and I fell again to the floor. "I don't know anything about the Ormond riddle. I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you ask someone else called Ormond? There are heaps of us. I don't know anything." And it was true. I didn't have a clue. But these guys weren't buying it. "I'll ask you a different question," continued the woman's voice. "What do you know about the Ormond singularity?" "Look, I don't know anything about that either." "You must do," she yelled. "Tell us what you know." "I don't. Just let me go. You're wasting your time." I tried to stop my voice shaking. I didn't want these people to know that I was scared. What if they killed me and buried me in the backyard? No one even knew where I was. I didn't know where I was. Boggers only knew about Memorial Park. My interrogators changed tack. "What do you know about the Ormond Angel?" The voice was now slow and more serious. "Nothing." Boggers was right. The angel was important. "We'll start again," my interrogator said. "We've got all the time in the world." "No, we haven't," I heard someone whisper behind me. "Shut up, Kelvin," said the woman. Someone seized me by the shoulders and lifted me up. "Tell us what you know, or things are going to get real nasty around here." I thought things were pretty nasty already. 10:31 p.m. "For the last time," someone started to say. "I thought you just told the little punk we had all the time in the world." "Shut up, Kelvin." Tell us everything you know about the Ormond Riddle and the Ormond Angel. What are you talking about? Nothing. I know nothing about either of them. You have to let me go. But they were relentless. On and on they demanded answers. I rolled around on the floor, being pushed and kicked and shoved. My hands were still tied and I was still trapped behind the Hessian sack. I was sweating and panting and everything was muffled. 11:29 p.m. I told them I had to go to the toilet. One of them led me to the bathroom, pulled the sack off my head and slammed the door shut. "Tell me when you're done," he yelled from outside before bursting into a fit of laughter, probably on realising how much I'd struggle having my hands tied behind me. I looked around, but there was no way out. There weren't any windows or vents. I tried to mentally take down notes about the space I was in, and then I flushed the toilet with my elbow. Before I could yell out, the door swung open, the sack was thrown over me again, and I was dragged back for more questioning. "Your father gave you a map, didn't he?" It was spoken like a statement, not a question. "No," I said. "My father did not give me a map. I don't know anything about a map. A map for what?" "Your father—" "My father has been dead for over 6 months," I yelled. "He couldn't even speak by the time he came back from Ireland. How the hell could he have given me a map? Figure it out already. You're wasting your time on me. I don't have anything you want." In the silence that followed my outburst, I could hear a whispered conversation going on among my captors. I caught some of the words. It sounded like these people had been at the conference in Ireland. They must have heard about the Ormond Riddle then, and the Ormond Singularity, whatever that was. 11:58 p.m. Without any warning, I was dragged down a hallway and shoved into a small room not much bigger than a cupboard. I was leaning over to shake off the sack when a heavy blow to the back of my head floored me.